Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first Q&A now with Nik Podcast episode. My goal here is to answer any questions anybody has for me. Obviously, I do a lot of writing and I have guests on my podcast and I make some short form videos, but this format allows me to be more direct and to give more explanation on some of my thoughts. So what I did is I had posted on my Instagram and my Facebook. I probably should have done X too, but I was able to get enough questions like this. And then I posted on my Instagram and Facebook asking what questions you'd like me to answer. I received numerous responses. And then I also included some questions that people have asked me over the course of time through my DMs, which I thought would also be good to answer because I had more than one person ask me those questions. My goal here is to do it all in one take. The only reason there will be a cut is if I run out of my good tea here that my brother got me from Japan. It is a nice Senja green tea, and that's what I'll be enjoying today. I have my bear here to join me as well to keep me company. And my goal here is to do it every 3 months, 3 or 4 months or so. So if you have any questions after watching this, feel free to DM me and I will do my best to respond. And sorry ahead of time, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I'll do my best to speak clearly. So, first question I have here is what made you decide to do your own business at the beginning? And what is the first step to do so? So, the first business I actually ever started was Alican Entertainment. This was a company where I did nightclub promotions. I also promoted some music festivals like Summer of Sound. I was invested in it as well. But it's mainly nightclub events and like smaller concerts. The reason why I started this business is because at the time I was VIP host, assistant manager kind of thing at Stereo Nightclub. It was like 2013, 2014. And I was making like $14 an hour. And at that time, I was seeing promoters coming in and making a few dollars a head, maybe $5 a head, let's say, per person they would bring into the club. And obviously, that adds up to be a lot of money. And at that time, the people that I was bringing into the club, I guess this was around 300 to 500 people every Saturday. So I was like, okay, I'm making $14 an hour. But if I was promoting and I got $5 a person for those 300 people that I brought into the club, I would now be making $1,500 a week, which is more than I was making working 80 hours a week at $14 an hour, partly because they were not paying me for the full hours I was working, but that's a different story. Anyways, what I saw is that I could make a lot more money if I started my business and it would be a lot more fun. I'd actually get to interact with people. And then from there, I could grow it and maybe do concerts because I saw that we were doing a lot of concerts at Stereo and those were also making a good amount of money. So the first step that I did in order to get into that business was I started talking to different people that I knew that were successful in that business. So I actually didn't know them personally. I just simply reached out on Instagram or Facebook and I asked if I could get them lunch, coffee, dinner, whatever, sit down with them and pick their brain because I wanted to get started in that. So that included people like at the time, there was a guy named Sunil, there was Shiraz Ali, Stephen Hua, and I ended up meeting up with those people. Luckily, I was able to get to them through friends as well. So they actually all sat down with me, and each one of them helped me in order to develop what I need to do to get to that business. So once I sat down with them, I knew I wanted to start the business, and it just simply meant registering the business, getting my logo ready, putting up a website, a Facebook page, and so on. And then I found a night to promote. I quit Stereo off the bat, and I actually started getting paid as a promoter at Stereo instead. And at the same time, I started promoting Green Room Thursdays and Boa on Fridays with Stephen Hua, who was then my business partner from 2014 or so, and is still my business partner on some capacities today in 2026. So that's the first step. The next question is, what are your goals in the next 5 years, both personally and professionally? So I used to do 5 year goals. And what I realize is that you really have no idea where your life is going to be in 5 years. Maybe if you're like in a career where you know where there's a lot of stability in it, or if you're like in a business like long term, you kind of have an idea where you want to go and you can have a general direction. But for me, what I noticed is my 5 year goals were just always completely out of touch like 3 years later. And you never know what's going to happen either. So, for example, in 2019, I was driving my Porsche, and I figured a good 5 year goal would be to upgrade that to a Ferrari. Little did I know I would lose all my businesses within a year and have to not, and then also lose my license through the speeding ticket, which made me have to get rid of my Porsche, and pretty much everything changed, and then all my goals changed, and that happened again. Like you also don't really know how fast you'll achieve some of those goals, and maybe you won't set them well enough. So I also had a goal back in the day when I think when I was 20, when I started in the nightclub business. My goal was to have a nightclub by the time I was 30. I got a nightclub by the time I was 24, I believe I was 24 or 25. So I exceeded that goal by a lot. So it's I find it very hard to plan for 5 years goals, but with that in mind, I still have like a general direction of where I like really kind of wider things that I know that I want to achieve within 5 years. So for example, like I would like to start a family within 5 years, but I don't have a girlfriend right now, so that's going to be very hard it's really hard to plan around that. But in general, that's kind of the direction that I want to head in. Or I want to live near an ocean within 5 years. As much as I love the people and a lot of things about Winnipeg, I do feel like I belong near an ocean. I would be a lot happier there in a warmer environment. So that is like a general direction, but I don't have like an actual process in order to get there aside from making more money. So and be able to make money somewhere else as well. So it's for me, I don't really plan too much for those 5 year goals, but to try to give you that's kind of my basic answer. Starting a family, um, living near an ocean. I'd like to get a nice car again now that I think I can control my speeding, and yeah, and then just continue to be like as healthy as I possibly can be and create good relations with people in general. So kind of general direction like that. Uh, Next question I have, I'm going to get a pen to check off the list as I go. And then that way I make sure I don't answer any questions twice. So, why do you love bears? Is another question. As you can tell, I love bears. I got a bear here, I got a bear there. I have bears on my wall there, bears on my wall there. I very much love bears. So, why do I love bears? I think that they live the ideal lifestyle. They sleep during the winter because nobody wants to be awake during the winter. Winter kind of sucks. And then they wake up and they just walk around and eat the whole time and mate. They eat berries, which are delicious. They eat fish, which are delicious, and then they lay around and be cuddly the rest of the time. So I think the bears live the best lifestyle, and they're pretty cute, but they're still strong, and you don't want to mess with them. So they are the best animal, in my opinion. Next question. Do you still think about our house fish and its funeral? So that was asked by a roommate of mine, Keegan. I'm not going to say the name of anybody else that asked them, but I'll call out Keegan on this one. We had a fish named Hannah, uh, and it was gifted to me, and I did my best to take care of the fish. And the fish did live a couple or 3 years, I think it was. And then on my birthday, we came back home from the club, and my poor fish was dead. So we had a lovely funeral where everybody that came over sat around the toilet and sang a nice funeral song for my fish, which we then flushed down the toilet. Do I still think about it? Yes, I was literally just showing the video to some friends of mine like a week ago about the about our fish's funeral. So it definitely still pops up in my memories once in a while. I think about Celine Dion as we're singing "My Heart Will Go On" to the fish and saying goodbye to Hannah. Next question: what are your favorite scents? Uh, that's a tough question because there's a lot of scents that I love. I love like the smell of coffee. To me, that's like an addicting smell. If there's more of like an actual like scent, I love sandalwood. I find to be pretty nice. I don't really like perfumes or colognes as much anymore. I actually wear like essential oils as cologne instead. So in that case, I don't remember what the essential oil that I wear is, but it has like a kind of like a almost like a cinnamon, brown sugar, vanilla kind of smell to it. It's kind of sweeter, but a little bit of spice to it. So, but in general, I'd kind of say the smell of coffee is addicting. The smell of and the smell of sandalwood, I'd kind of lean towards as well. Let's see here. Can you bring back 4 for 1 Maine? I'm gonna need a sip of tea for this one. Short answer: no. Can't bring back 4 for 1 Maine. There is a club there right now. Um, Long answer: even if that club was available, I could not bring back 4-for-1 main. Multiple reasons why. First reasons why is I don't think it would work. The um, the environment has changed. People don't drink like they used to. People don't want to go to clubs like they used to. I think it would not be worth the investment. And even if you did put the investment, I don't think it would be very successful or nearly the same vibe. On top of that, you need like a similar ownership group. Like you need Clayton running the place, who is the best GM there, and Jack as the owner, and so on. And the same staff as well, which I don't think any of them would want to come back. And you just wouldn't really be able to replicate it, so it would never be the same regardless. And then on top of that, like the reason we left in the first place was because of the landlord. So I don't think we'd go back there unless he wanted to sell the building, and I don't think the building is in the best shape, so I don't think we'd want to buy the building anyway. So no, I cannot bring back 4-for-1 Main, but feel free to come to 456 Main Commonwealth Kitchen and Bar, because that is where we are now. Next question is, what do you do for fun? I spend time with a lot of friends for fun. I play chess is one of the main things I do for fun, but it's also like just like a little brain activity for me. I tend to play guitar a bit, but I almost like force myself to play guitar because that's my kind of like my creative time. And if I don't force myself to do it, I will probably not do it and just work all the time. So I would still say that's for fun. But the main thing I do for fun is probably play chess and then spend time with friends. I like to play sports once in a while too, but I get injured pretty easily nowadays. So like I used to do Muay Thai, I used to train in Muay Thai, I used to play basketball, I used to play soccer. I don't as much anymore, but I do like doing activities like go-karts, going to Speed World if it's in Winnipeg. Things like Activate, like interactive games and escape rooms and stuff like that, I do also very much enjoy. And then obviously going out, I do like doing once in a while, not like I used to, because I used to go out 5-6 times a week. Nowadays, it is more like uh, just going to my venue, Commonwealth Kitchen and Bar, because that is the only place I actually enjoy going to nowadays, unless I'm out of town, of course. Okay. What does success mean to you now compared to 5 or 10 years ago? It's a good question. I'd say even 5 years ago, success to me was 100% tied to finances. So I used to want to be a billionaire. I used to want like a yacht, a private jet, and all this stuff. And over the course of time, I actually realized that I would be happier with less versus more. That's kind of, maybe, I don't know if that's something that most people realize, but I don't want to say I'm a minimalist, but I don't like things. I try to have as few things as possible because I would just want to be as present with myself as possible. So when the reason I say that is because I realize that I can actually survive off of very little and feel more successful because I have less to worry about aside from myself. So um, with that being said, I still obviously want some level of success within businesses because I really like building things and seeing my ideas come to life, and then seeing myself have an impact on the world and having employees who I see doing well as well. So I think in that sense, like a professional success to me would be more of just having a business as a positive impact that's obviously not losing money and employs people and keeps me happy. But then overall success, I'd say, is more related to my life, which means at the end of the day, is am I happy? Am I happy with where I am now? Am I at peace? And how often throughout the day am I at peace or happy? Because there's always going to be ups and downs. You can't always be happy. You can't always be at peace. You wouldn't be able to be happy if you weren't unhappy at some points. Otherwise, you'd just be in a stable state. So, obviously, just try to be happy as much as possible. So that's what success really means to me. Versus 5 years ago, for 10 years ago, is really just how much money could I possibly make. Now it's just more about like how do I feel. Next question is, why do men cheat? This is going to be an interesting one. So I don't know if I'm the best person to answer the question off the bat. I'll say that because one, I've never cheated. Two, none of my best friends have ever cheated as far as I'm aware. And I don't really hang out with people who cheat because you can't trust them at the end of the day. So my answer here is going to be purely speculative, not based off of any men telling me this is why they cheated. So um, the reason why I think men cheating is one, the person they're cheating on, they must not care about uh, as much as they care about the pleasure that they would receive from cheating. So obviously they're whatever, they're out, they want to now sleep with somebody and they disregard their relationship or their partner so heavily that they would rather have however long, maybe 1 minute or maybe 1 hour of pleasure versus keeping the relationship stable. On top of that, they also value that over keeping themselves as a loyal person. That's one of the main reasons why I never cheat, aside from wanting to hurt somebody I love, is that I don't ever want to feel like I'm not a loyal person. It's just one of the values that I hold. But I'm assuming that the people that cheat don't really have those same values. So yeah, they must, or maybe they want something that they're not getting. I don't know. Maybe they're lonely and they need to cheat, or they're not getting something out of the relationship. But I mean, at that point, they should probably just not be in that relationship. So I hope that answers the question. I tried my best. What favorite childhood memories do I have? Well, that's a good question. I have a lot of childhood memories of like playing with friends, like sports, stuff like that, or even just video games, which I very much enjoyed. If I go further back, I think about like the first time I rode a bike. That was like immense, immense satisfaction is probably the best word. That was a good memory. Um, Even then, I have going to like Lake Louise and stuff with my mom and my family, or driving to Quebec to see my grandparents. Going to Trinidad when I was like, I think I was 6 or 7. The first time I went to Trinidad was an incredible childhood memory. Um, yeah, that is like because most of my family's in Quebec and Trinidad. I have never really been around like a lot of cousins and stuff. So anytime I go to Quebec or to Trinidad and I see like the extended family or whatever you want to call it, that to me always creates a good memory. Um, yeah, I mean that's kind of the gist of it. Um, yeah. Why did Commonwealth take so long to reopen? So, for those who don't know, Commonwealth Kitchen and Bar is my restaurant. Back in July 10th, somebody lit it on fire or tried to, like their sprinklers stopped it really quickly. And we're closed for 8.5 months. We just reopened, just for soft openings, parties, but our grand opening is on April 8th. Yeah, April 8th. So that'll be pretty much 9 months since the time it closed until our grand opening. The reason why it took so long is one, well, assessing the damages took a while, and then we had to deal with insurance. Still dealing with insurance, and yeah, that's pretty much just took a long time to do that, to deal with all that. Things like our booth takes like 12 weeks to remake the booth that got lit on fire and had to get replaced. So that took 12 weeks to remake. So once you got some of the insurance money to pay for the booth, then you got to wait the 12 weeks for it to be made, and then after that, room gets set up, and then we have to start like figuring out like rehiring and so on. So the whole process took a long time, and honestly, um, maybe we could have done it a month sooner, but even now we feel like we're rushed. So I mean, we did our best to reopen as fast as possible. Why did you decide to write about happiness? That's a good question. So, uh, I think that everything in life comes down to happiness. So, the reason why you work in your career is because you're hoping to make money and create a happier life, or because your actual career is something that makes you happy. The reason why I record this podcast is because it makes me happy. Pretty much the reason why you do anything is because you, even if it does not make you happier in that moment, you think that the result of what you're doing will make you happier. So Maybe I go to the gym, but I don't actually like working out. But I know that when I lose weight or feel stronger, I will be happier. I will live longer, live a happier, healthy life, so on. So I think everything in life comes down around happiness, but people kind of dance around that because they don't really know how to define happiness. So, or they don't really know actually how to find it. So, my goal, and I'm not saying I know everything about happiness, but my goal is to try to explain as much about happiness as I know. And along the road, that's why I do podcasts or travel even, because I want to learn from other people about happiness, and then I want to compact that into my own content to provide for everybody else. So the goal is that by the end of it, or whatever, maybe not the end of it, but as well as I go, people will learn more about happiness and be able to live a happier life, including myself. Part of the question for myself when I wanted to know like what I should focus on is what would make me happy, and the answer is always talking about happiness. What's happier than just talking about happiness and what makes people happy, and then trying to see if that makes you happy and continuing to experiment with that. It just seems like a pretty happy way to live. Let's put it that way. So um, yeah, that to me, I thought that would be a great focus and something that would have positive impact for people to listen to. What are your pet peeves? So, pet peeves, that's a good question. People who are late tend to bother me, but I'm surrounded by them, so I've actually got pretty used to them. People who lack values bothers me or don't kind of like stick to their word. So there's certain like discipline I think is important. Uh, Courage to do the right thing, willpower, loyalty, respect. Uh, Being in the nightlife industry, I have a major pet peeve for people who just go out and look to start fights, for example. That is just I don't understand how somebody would go out specifically to try to fight somebody if like that's they must have something wrong if that's like your first instinct is or first desire is to try to hurt somebody. Yeah, that's I don't know if that classifies as a pet peeve, but that is a pet peeve, I suppose. Why chess? Uh, Good question. Chess is I my mom won't remember this, but my mom did teach me how to play chess when I was young. I remember playing with her and probably I think it was my brothers as well when I was like 6 or 7. And then I was in a chess club when I was like in grade 3 or 4 or something like that. And I remember being in a tournament in grade 4 and you needed to get a chessboard, and I didn't have a chessboard, so my mom ran out to get me a chessboard um, last minute and like showed up to the chess tournament and gave me the chessboard. And that memory, I still have this chessboard actually in my office, and she doesn't remember that, but that memory like stuck with me. When I got that chessboard, I was like, okay, and like now I'm committed to chess. So I was in that tournament. I actually did fairly well as like a 10-year-old. And then I moved to Winnipeg, and I was played in grade 5 and 6, and I kind of stopped after that. But then chess online kind of became a thing, and I signed up, and I was on and off for a while, but now I kind of made sure that I stick with it. Partly because I go to a chess club every Saturday at the Forks, which is makes it that much more exciting because I can play with people from all ages, all levels. I love playing with kids. I sit there and teach them chess. Sometimes they're better than me, but I get to laugh and play with the kids. And then there's also like older guys that are like 70 years old who have been playing for 60 years, and then I get to play with them and learn from them and bond with them as well. So it's a good opportunity. It's kind of something that's every single country plays it. There's people from every country that play it. There's all levels, all ages, and once you play together and you like kind of it's a nice way to bond. I also like chess because it obviously works your brain, it helps with pattern recognition, helps with just like thinking clearly and focusing. So all of that is good reasons to play chess, and it's just fun. I'm not the best at it. I am above average at it, and I like winning. I'm very competitive at pretty much everything I do. If I know I'm not going to be able to win at something, I kind of just don't even want to bother doing it. So chess, I know it's something I could beat most people at. So I do also do it because I like winning. I apologize. My voice is continuously, slowly losing it. Best book that I have ever read. Um, it's also a tough question to answer because at different points in my life, when I've read books, I would have said that was the best book ever. So, for example, when I was a kid, I read like a Redwall, I think the series is called, and I read a couple of those books, which I thought were the greatest things ever. And at that time, I probably enjoyed those books more than I enjoyed the books that I would now rate 10 on 10. Same thing with like, I loved Narnia, like the second one, I think it was Lion, Witch, and the War Dog, something like that. Lion, Witch, and the whatever. But um, yeah, that book was incredible at the time. I was like in grade 4 when I first read it. But then fast forward now is probably what you have more of a question about. What book do I enjoy the most now? So I have a few 10 on 10s. One of them is actually Tool of Titans, which is right here. The reason why I love that book is because it takes knowledge from pretty much the smartest or most successful people in whatever fields and then compacts it into a few pages for each person. So there's so much knowledge and applicable knowledge in 600 pages, probably more than any book that I've ever read, how compacted it is and what you can actually get out of it. Overall, I'd say The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch. I think I've read it maybe 4 or 5 times. I still don't understand it fully, but the more that I read it, the more that I understand it. And it's just incredibly interesting. There's so much information in that book or so much wisdom in that book. I think it's one of the mandatory reads for people. You should read it because it will make you smart. It'll change your worldview. It'll change how you operate. It'll uh, make you smarter to make it short. So I'm going to continue reading that book probably once a year for the rest of my life. And hopefully by the end of my life, I will have a better understanding of it. Um, and I will continue to learn from it. Aside from that, there's other books that I also rated 10 on 10. I think like War of Art was a 10 on 10. How to Live by David Sivers, 10 on 10. There's a couple of Carlo Rovelli books I basically rate 10 on 10. Maybe Order of Time. Carlo Rovelli is a physicist, and his focus is on loop quantum gravity. Is like I think his focus on studies, but his books are like 200 pages long, and usually like 150 pages of it is focusing on whatever idea he's talking about in the book. But then the last 50 pages almost becomes like philosophy based on the physics that he's teaching in that book, and it's always like connects, makes you more connected to the physics, makes it feel like, I mean, it obviously is real life, but it makes it feel like more real, more applicable to your life. And so, yeah, those pretty much any Carlo Rovelli book I'd put up there. So, but I guess best book I've ever read would probably, I guess I would have to say best Beginning of Infinity because it is the one that I will continue to read continuously because of how good it is and how much you can actually learn from it. So that is it for my first Q&A ever. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, follow me on any social media platforms, at Now with Nik on all platforms, share with your friends, so on. If you have any questions that you want me to answer in the next Q&A, feel free to email me at nick@nowwithnik.com, or you could also just DM me or message me on any social media platform of your choice. Thank you again for listening, and be well.